Alright guys, today we have a gold 3 Ana on Eichenwald, or whatever they're calling it in Overwatch 2. I believe it may still be Eichenwald. This player says, feel like I struggle with positioning during team fights, also my nades, using my nades and sleeps too early and not waiting for the right moments. Alright, we have Orisa double hit scan, they have Sigma double projectile. So already the cons look pretty good. It's going to be a lot easier for you guys to get this far, hopefully. Nice shot. That is good to be aggressive on the fire though, right? You want to show that you're not a pushover. And honestly, Ana's one of the best characters to shoot the Pharah. You have no damage fall off. You have a hit scan. I want to say you want to be real careful with their comp, right? They have Pharah and Sim who both throw like long range, no damage fall off things fairly frequently at you. And so I know that it can be a big problem if you scope in too much against a comp like this. It'll be very easy for them to hit their projectiles on you. So you want to be probably quick scoping and no scoping more in this game than you would in a normal game. I'd love to see if your team goes a little more aggressive here. But this is a team thing. Maybe if you're in comms, you can try and call out to them, right? Like, okay, we're up one. Let's try and go in. So you have 5 here and they have 4. And hopefully something happens. The Reaper tries, but at this point your advantage is gone. Nice try on the aggressive nade. I want to mention that you should be thinking about what can deny your nade value, right? So throwing your nade aggressively is good, but if Sigma has his shield that he's able to deploy, and if he has his kinetic grasp, it's going to be really hard for you to do anything with that nade. Also, Kiriko has cleanse, it's going to be hard for you to do anything, although forcing out cleanse is not a bad thing, right? So if you hit like a 4-person nade and she has to cleanse, then it allows the rest of your team to do something. But generally, you should think about like what can deny value from your abilities, and Sigma's really good at that, so just be thinking about that. Not too much to say about that. Your Reaper's really not playing where you can help him. Same with the Orisa, right? She walks in here and dies. I know she's trying to get to cover, but you're not playing this angle, which would be a weird angle for you to play, right? So you can communicate with them. If you're in VC, you can tell them that you can't see them, but really, nothing really to do there. Good aggression. You don't need to throw the nade there, right? You're not really ever gonna hit the far with that. Your team's kind of staggering a little bit. Nice shots, really nice. And you should always be going for those shots at least. I love that you're doing that. So I think we can do maybe a little bit better job healing our DPS. And our other support was critical right in front of us and we didn't notice earlier. But just small things. Shooting the far is really good. And hopefully your team does something about it. Again, I like the aggressive stuff. Just make sure, right? Are we going to be able to follow up on it? So when you slept the Symmetra here 20 seconds ago, maybe your team could have done something about it because the Symmetra was like the closest one to your team. And 200 HP heroes are able to be killed out of sleep, right? But like, let's say you sleep the Sig here, he's just going to get woken up by random spam damage. Not saying it's a bad thing to sleep the Sig, but right, sleeping one of these people, you're not really going to be able to follow up. So you want to make sure that your like aggressive abilities are good, right? But your team's not set up to do anything with this. So even if you hit this, it's not like everybody's ready to run in right now. We're still kind of regrouping. One of our people is in spawn. So think about like we hit the ability, right? But what's going to happen because of this? Nothing's going to happen. So the idea is good, but in game, ask yourself, like, if I hit this, will anything happen? Or can I make anything happen? Even like, if you can hit nade plus 2 shots, then it's worth it. But right now, you can't go out and peek him. You can't go and get that kill. So okay. Okay. So I like using the nano, right? Because this team's just kind of sitting at the choke. We're not really doing anything. We need to get in there. Nanoing a tank is generally a really good way to make that tank walk forward. And so because of that, I like this nano. But I think it would have been better if you had gotten it on the Reaper, right? You've already seen that your Reaper likes to go in. That first fight, or I guess he died on Ashe, switched to Reaper, then came in here and was shooting Sig. So you know the Reaper wants to go in. And Reaper is generally going to be providing more stable value than an Orisa because he has shotguns. Pretty easy to hit your shotguns, right? So I would have liked to see a nano on the Reaper, but this isn't a bad nano, right? Especially if your team's going to go in with it. Our death here is a little silly, as you can see. I mean, I'm sure you kind of know what I'm going to say about this, but like we can see him here. This is when we see the turrets, right? And then dead from your other support dies from spam. At this point, you don't have your nade because you threw it at the wall earlier. And then we die from spam as well. I mean, the turret technically killed us, but this Sim's running on us and the Sig was shooting. But we're trying to support our Orisa, but we can do it from here, right? You know? And eventually you want to go through this wall with your team. I know that's probably what you're going for, right? Get through this wall. But you knew those turrets were there, right? You were paying attention. So when we're seeing something like this, right? We got to be keeping our mind open about what that means for us. All right, but it happens. I think the nano was fine. Let's see if our team actually gets anything done here. It looks like we're making some progress. Nice try, but you should take a little bit more time to line these up. She's not looking at you, so you're kind of throwing just to throw them. But you have time, right? She's not looking at you. She's looking at your team. Accuracy needs a little bit of work. Obviously, sometimes you got to improve your mechanics. We're not going to talk about that because that's going to come over time, right? We're focusing on things that we can maybe improve a little more intentionally. So scoping in is the correct choice here. You're not under any pressure, but your angle is not very good, right? So this is, safe, and I say that with air quotes, but you're not really in a position to do anything right here. So your team you're kind of at this weird angle where the payload blocks all the way up to this doorway. So if your team is anywhere on this half of the objective, right? Let's try and get a little bit of an overhead here. All right, looking at this as an overhead, pretty much anyone on this half, on the right side of this half line, you're not really going to be able to see them because this blocks your line of sight all the way to here. And then you can kind of see past here, right? So this is like your dead zone. But this is the most important part of the fight, right? Window's here, their whole team is here, your whole team is here. And so you need to be able to have an impact on this part of the fight. So whether that means you rotate around here and take this longer angle, that's one route you could take. You can also take a little bit of a riskier position, right? So you can go here. And this way you still have some cover to back up to. And this option up top is a little safer than this one, right? So a lot of Anas will take this route, but this will put them in, not a good position. You have Window looking at you. And it's going to be very easy if they have DPS here to just kind of jump on you because you're isolated. This one's a little bit safer, right? Sim is very close range. It's going to be hard for her to do anything about this. But ideally, right, you're going to walk down here or you're going to walk down here. You can kind of play in this cover. But you need to be able to have an impact. So we spend a little bit too much time not really doing anything. And if we do want to stay in a spot like that, we should be calling out to our team that, hey, I can't see you. Like, walk left more or walk right more, but whatever you do, I'm not really going to be able to help you if you stay in that spot. Your Orisa goes down. Good nade attempt, but again, at this point, it's kind of, we're just like throwing it, right? And to be honest, I don't really mind the nade, but there's 4 of them. There's no follow up on it for sure, right? And if you try and run out after this and you're getting shot at, it would be really nice to have the nade, wouldn't it? So Wow. Good aggression. A Reaper goes in and kills 2 on his own. I'm actually fine with that sleep. I go for that all the time. Sleeping Sigmas and ult. I do want to say, if you know they have more important ults, right? So if they have a Reaper, or if they have a Pharah who has Barrage, then maybe you want to save your sleep for that, because it's a lot easier to hit those. But you only save it if you know they have that and they're looking to use it, right? Otherwise, I think using your ult there is perfectly fine. Or your sleep there, sorry, not your ult. Alright, not a whole lot going on here. You're kind of getting free cart progress. You don't really love being the one on cart. But it's okay, right? You traded out DPS, but they used an ult. I don't love the nade use there, right? You don't really need it. I mean, you're not going to have it if you do need it in the future, so if someone gets in trouble here or you want to go aggressive with a nade, you don't have it for another 10 seconds. I like your aggression. That's huge, right? That's huge. That is awesome. You don't really have anyone on your team that you can be healing. And even sometimes when you do have people you can be healing, if they're going to be okay for a couple seconds, if you're not looking at them, doing something like that is way more impactful, right? Like, pretend your Kiriko's at half HP. Would you rather heal your half HP Kiriko or get a kill on their BAB? And now in this, that's probably a bad example, right? Because Sigma can kill someone at half HP in one shot. But you kind of get the idea, right? If your team is okay, that aggression is awesome. You've done it to the Pharah twice, and you've done it to the BAB once. Like, it's game winning, honestly. At that time, I think that sleep's a lot better. I think going for sleeps like those make a lot more sense because he is kind of a direct threat right now, and you guys can follow up if you hit that. So. Yep, good awareness. I like how we're looking around, right? And because you are looking around so much, you kind of had a feeling something was going to happen, and you were able to get behind cover. So you're not just standing out here in the middle of the open. You have cover. This is really good. Nice try on the sleep. And you live there. Nice. I would have liked for you to go for the sleep on that Bastion first instead of the nade, right? Because again, that's a nade that no one's going to be able to follow up on. And this is a little more advanced, but he doesn't have any healers there to heal him. So the nade's only going to be for damage, not for the anti-heal. And at that point, you might even want to keep it for yourself. But again, that was pretty good, right? You used cover. You tried to hit your abilities on him. And you lived, which is important. That's the important part. You're alive. Nice try on the nade. Great nano. I would have done the exact same thing. Yeah, nothing to say. I really like that. You're in this really hairy situation. So just take 2 seconds, kind of look at this and think like, what should I be looking to do right now? Because I know what you are looking to do, but we just got to think as critically as we can. What happens if we try and walk here? What happens if we try and go here to help our team, right? We're dead. We're dead if we go here. There's no way we live. So maybe like best case scenario, if you walk in here, you like splash nade on the ground, and then you probably die. So the best thing to do, and of course this is situational, but you should be calling for your team to get, like if they need more healing or more support, they need to move on the right side of the wall. It's okay for them to go aggro here, but it's going to be really tough for you to get in there. And we do, right? We get in there and it kind of works. No one's really looking at us, but I'd just be very, very careful about this in the future. Very careful, right? In higher elo, they're gonna kind of notice that this is happening, and it's going to be very bad for you. So this time it works. In the future, it won't work so well. And I get that we kind of have to get value here. If you didn't go in, some people would say, right, you're not doing anything. But it's much easier, especially if you're communicating, to just tell them, hey, like we got to move so that I can heal you. Otherwise, I can't go in there to save you. quick note, we've had both of our abilities for a long time. It's not that you need to throw them away on cooldown, but it's that we could have definitely hit some antis or sleeps at this point. We have been focused on healing, right? But maybe if we're hitting antis and sleeps, these fights go faster. There's less chance for our own players to die, stuff like that. Like that would have been the perfect time to throw anti, right? So just, you know, think about when you can use it, how to get value from it. Yeah, still good stuff, right? This is good gameplay so far. I've liked most of the stuff I've seen this game. I like the aggression. When you're dueling a character, think about when you're using your nade, think about what they have that can counteract your nade, right? So Reaper has Wraith. If your goal is just to get him off of you, then using the nade before he wraiths is fine, right? Because he's just got to get off of you. You got to live. But when you're going aggressive like that, when you're looking for damage and maybe even a kill like that, you want to try and force the wraith first and then use your anti for like maximum damage, I guess is what I'm going to go with. So maybe you sleep him first, and then you know for sure when he gets up he's going to be using wraith, and then when he's out of wraith, then you can go for the nade. But if you're just trying to force him off of you, then what you did is fine. Yeah, I like this angle. Nice try on the nade. We don't really know what's going to happen if we hit that, but it could be impactful, right? Our whole team's there. And at this point, I would like it if you start walking forward, because you are going to lose line of sight on the enemy. And so you want to get like around here maybe, because you still want to be able to throw these aggressive nades and sleeps. Good kill. Really good. Yep, we're walking forward. I think your positioning's good. You said you were worried about your positioning, but I've liked your positioning in most of these fights, if not all of them. You go for the nade, like very small thing. If he's nanoed, probably just let him sleep, but we're kind of getting denied by Sigma shield here. If you have nothing to shoot at, you don't love it, but you can shoot the shield. If that's the only thing, like if your whole team is behind that shield and the one guy you can see is healed up, just shoot the shield, right? It'll be okay. Great stuff. Really good stuff. I like this whole first round from you. I really do. We're going to get straight into the second round. I'm going to see what we can pick up. If we're making any consistent mistakes that we can clean up. But this first round is pretty good gameplay. All right, here we go. Round 2. We are on the same comp, it looks like. And they are on Diva now. Back to their initial DPS of Farah and Sim. You do want to be really careful about scoping in here. It is okay as long as you know where their DPS are. But like in maybe a different game, Farahs will come over this angle, right? They'll float up here, or they'll float, you know, real close to this. And if you are scoped in, it's going to be super easy for them to land shots on you, right? When Sim pushes up and their team's coming through their choke, it's going to be super easy for her to spam shots through here. So you want to be really careful. A bunch of projectile characters can kind of abuse Ana's in a scope, right? So Farahs and Sims and Mei and Hanzo, anything like that, you don't want to be scoped in too much when fighting them. Your Orisa is off in her own world, but she comes back in time. And this is the first time where we kind of dropped the ball, right? Definitely could have gotten some healing off on that Orisa. Probably saved her life. So we throw nade, it gets DM'd. But we could have landed 1 or even 2 shots right there. And we are just a little bit too slow. Our tank drops, and that's probably going to be this point, or at least you're going to have to give up, you know, some amount of space. Wow, really, really nice shots. I know this fight's already lost, but your accuracy on this Farah has been way above the gold level. So your mechanics are looking pretty good. I do think, though, that in general you were a little slow to react this point, and your tank is probably dead because of that. You get long spawned, unlucky. I'd like to see you go up on the high ground here, but you take a maybe more safe approach. Yep, we're paying attention, right? It's time to get the hell out of here. It's probably actually might even be too late. Oh, we get out. That's fine. I think, you know, if we were in a better position, we can maybe help a couple of our teammates out there. But our Orisa dies way before that fight ever happens. So, not on you. Not too much going on. Let's move along here. Great shots. Really good stuff. Nice. Good sleep. I know that you kind of get that free shot there, but if you have a teammate who's able to follow up on your sleep, it's better to just like let the Kiriko go up and shoot her. Like this is a definite thing where if you let this Kiriko walk up here on the sleeping Pharah, she can just 2-tap her in the head, get the, you know, absolutely free kill. But now that Pharah is awake, and it's going to be a lot harder to do anything about it. Right, and now that Pharah lives to terrorize your team a little bit more when she should be dead right now. So. Good shots, good aggression. Small note, if they have a sim and right and you're getting shielded like this can work with any shield, right? So sim shield, Winston bubble, Sigma shield, Ryan shield, right? And you have teammates on the other side of it who are trying to fight. Your only way to heal them is to nano. So if your Reaper goes in here or your Junkrat goes in and they are deep and you cannot get healing to them, it is okay to throw nano on them to keep them alive. And so hopefully we might even see that here. Nice try. He was antied. It would have been, you know, it feels like a waste to nano an antied person, but you had the right idea. You really did. And I really like where you were going with that. So nice try. Big kill. You are owning this Pharah. I am surprised she's still on Pharah because you're just all over her. And that is exactly what you want to do. It's pretty easy this game because she doesn't have a Mercy. And when she does have a Mercy, it's going to get way harder. But just contributing that damage is going to make her either die or play in a safer spot, even if she has a pocket. Positioning wise, are we going for a high ground or are we just kind of pulling back? I think we can be a little more proactive here with our positioning. We are in a very safe spot, but we are in a very ineffective spot to where it's going to be pretty hard to heal your team. So again, I really like this high ground for you. If your whole team is playing payload, you obviously can't play high ground, but if your team is doing something like this, you can be on the high ground. Right here, you just have to hope that your Kiriko can keep your Orisa alive, because all you can do is shoot the Pharah. Big sleep. Oh, very unfortunate, but that sleep was great. That ping was great. I love how you waited. You're doing everything right here. Pharah dies because of it. Nice. Very good, very good. This is the first time where I don't love your positioning. You can probably see why when you kind of look at it like this. So we are just a little too close right here, and there's no teammates between us and the enemy. So you are like their focus, right? In this elo where they're kind of tunnel visioning a little bit more. Well, I guess until now, but just look at the sim, right? You're the first one. She is so focused on killing you. Because you don't have any other targets, you know, there's no one else for her to shoot. So you get out alive, but very scary positioning. This is the first time where I really had an issue with where you try to fight, where you try to stand. Awesome. She dies. Fantastic. Actually fantastic. A little slow. Maybe you can save your other support, but again, small things. The more you play, the faster your reactions will get. But you're doing everything. Like, you have the sleep when you need it. You nano and you keep your Orisa alive. I think this is a really good game from you. And I think if you consistently play at this level, you will find that you will climb. Simwall, you want to kind of let your team know to play on the same side as you. Your Orisa has other plans. Yeah, there's just nothing, absolutely nothing you can do about that. So sometimes it happens. I'm stuck in a wall here, but sometimes it happens where your tank just goes in and feeds. Your tank went in and fed. Now you guys have to kind of live with the consequence of her actions. So it's going to be tough from here. A lot going on where, like, sensory overload, right? But you need to keep these people alive, right? You don't need to sit here and hardscope these people. You have a Pharah shooting at you, but you need to, right? We're reloading here, and it could cost somebody their life. We're 13 out of 15. We reload. We splash the nade to live, but we should have at least taken 1 or 2 more shots in the direction of our other support, in the direction of our Junkrat. Try and top them up, maybe keep them alive. Or we can shoot at the Pharah, we can throw sleep at the Pharah, something other than reload and sit at the wall. Right? Yikes, it happens. You go for the sleep. I think the more you'll play against the Pharah, the more you'll start thinking about things like this. And this is a proactive thing you have to think about, right? This Pharah has a boop ability. She hasn't used it this entire match, so it's probably not at the forefront of your mind. But when someone, like if a Lucio's over at this area, maybe it's a little more obvious, right? Oh, he's going to want to knock me off the map. Pharah actually wants to do the same thing, so I'm just going to have to be a little careful about that in the future. I do like the sleep attempt, but it's just too little, too late. And for how well you're playing, it does kind of suck that you're getting rolled this hard, but your team is staggering. Your tank is feeding here and there. Generally, the game's not going your way. Again, we're reloading too early, right? Our Junkrat could die there, and it would be on you because we're reloading when he is weak and we have a lot of bullets left in our clip, so... Right, we're prioritizing the sim TP instead of our Junkrat. And now we're at 9 of 15 bullets, and instead of healing him, we go to reload. So, nice sleep. You're on top of this Pharah. I love it. I don't know if we have comms with the Reaper, if he's like calling for that. I like nanoing the Reaper, but he's just a little too far, and a lot of this nano is going to get wasted because he has to close the distance first before he can do anything. So you either want to nano someone who's in the fight or wait for your Reaper to get in the fight and then nano him. Right? Let's just think we spent, let's just say roughly 2 seconds trying to nano him. This guy could die, probably should die, should have died already. When we're not supporting him, right? We're just looking for this nano. So I think it'll be a little more obvious. Here, our boy is weak, right? Our boy is weak. We're at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. We get the nano at 2:38. It's 2 seconds where this guy is critical HP, and this guy is not even near the fight, right? I don't know if he's looking for a flank here or what's going on, but you have just forced this guy to spend half of the nano getting in, and then maybe he can do something. Maybe not. We don't know. So... the intention, good. The execution definitely needs work, right? You can't forget about the rest of your team when you're trying to nano. And you also want to nano people in the fight. We definitely dropped that kill there. It's hard to aim on the Kitsune Rush, I get it, but we can at least splash that nade on the ground, and we definitely should be able to save our boy there, save our Kiriko. My advice for a situation like that will be kind of take a deep breath, slow down, and and you know, be deliberate about hitting that shot, right? Because if you don't hit that shot, he's gonna die. So you either need to, you know, have confidence in your aim and take your time and really hit that shot, or just walk right up to your Kiriko and just throw that nade at your feet. There's just no way to miss it. I was gonna say that wasn't a good nade, even though you hit a lot of people because no one could follow up on it, but boy am I wrong. Great nade, fantastic nade, especially if you realize that this Reaper could do something about it. And so again, what I'm gonna say is that if you're thinking about this nade becomes really good. If you just randomly throw it, even if you get this result, and this is the ideal result, even if you get this result, but you weren't thinking about doing this, then I don't love it. But if you throw this nade and you think, yeah, I actually knew that the Reaper could follow up, then I like it a lot more. Sim gets the nano. Unfortunate, but we could do more, right? We could do more. We're kind of ducking behind cover, and I like the use of cover, but we could do a little bit more there. Maybe we could save that guy. Maybe not, though. He was antied, so who knows? But now it's time to really kind of dip out, right? I think you don't need that nade on yourself. You had already waited for the support passive to kick in. And although we were weak, we were okay, right? We weren't in threat of dying. And imagine what like a 3 or a 4-man nade could have done here. Now this could have saved it, right? So we're getting that support healing. We're at 60 or 70 HP, right? But we're gonna be okay. No one was looking at us. We were pretty safe. So if you would have thrown this nade in here and hit 2 or 3 or 4 of these people, maybe this Orisa gets a kill or gets 2 kills maybe. Or maybe you get a kill. And then it's much easier to stall out this cart if there's only 4 or 3 of them rather than 5. Because your spawns are so close and their spawns are so far. So getting even 1 or 2 kills here could be huge. That pretty much is gonna spell the end of this, right? Well, tower could be big, but that wall is pretty much only sectioning you off, and it's forcing you to decide, like, do we want to go through? And I know last time I said no, right? We don't want to go through. But this time, you know, you kind of have to, because if these people die on this side of the wall, that's it. That's the end of the game. And so to make your impact, you do have to go through here. And it sucks. Like, what if we could have still been up here? I'm not saying this is a good position, but I'm just, you know, hindsight vision. If we're still up here, we're chucking nades down on them. It's really hard for them to come up to us. This wall would have done nothing for you, against you. This time we don't walk through. Luckily, everybody survives because the enemy's target focus is horrible. And you guys get a couple of people back, so it looks like it's going to be fine. But I personally probably would have walked up through that wall there, even though it's, you know, you don't love it, right? But you want to win the game, so. We let our team die. You have these health bars on your screen, right? You can see when these people are critical, and when they are critical, it's time to heal, right? These people need to stay alive. If you're not confident that you're going to hit those shots with your rifle, then throw your nade at them. If that's what you got to do for them to live, that's what you got to do, right? Right here, you could just throw a nade. And now I like saving your nade to be aggressive with it, to get antis with it, but you can't be letting your team die. Absolutely not. We don't even take the shot, right? I'm not exactly sure what we're looking at. Right? Well, what are we doing? It looks like we're going to clean up this fight just because our spawns are so much closer than theirs. Nice sleep. Oh wow, it actually goes bad again. This is very unfortunate. But again, this is what we want, right? We're sitting in the back. We can free cast our abilities. No one's putting pressure on us, right? We carry these fights. This is where Ana kind of shines through. You're in the back and you get to do your thing and there's no pressure on you. So take your time, line up your shots, line up your abilities, make sure that, you know, we're making the optimal plays. We're using our abilities optimal because there's no pressure on us right here. We're not going to die. No one's really looking at us. So what is that? A no reg or what did I just witness? The first shot we hit the piece of wood with, but what happens on the second shot? Do we hit the piece of wood again? Yeah, we hit the piece of wood twice now. So that's 140 healing, I believe. That is not there. And this is a stationary target, right? We gotta calm down a little bit. We have to hit those shots. And now there's just too many critical people. A Reaper goes in, he gets obliterated. You're not going to save that guy. But you could, you know, save these people. You're trying to get your nano here. You should absolutely be doing anything you can to get nano. At all costs, right? At all costs. So even if you're just jiggle peeking this pillar, you're not scoping in at all, because now there's aggression on you, right? There's people looking at you. Just peek out for a millisecond, take a shot at something, hit anything, get that nano, and then put that nano onto somebody, right? And yeah, we get focused by the Hanzo. We don't get nano, and that's just a small thing, right? But we can kind of jiggle peek that pillar, just get that 3%, hit one enemy, hit one friendly. You know, if we had hit that Orisa a couple times earlier, then we would have had that nano when we needed it. And we could have nanoed our Orisa there, maybe stalled out longer, maybe got a couple kills, maybe won the game off of that fight. Who knows? So still, your gameplay is pretty good, but we do need to breathe a little bit. We do need to make sure that, you know, we're on target and that we're using these abilities where we want to use these abilities. So let's see how this overtime goes. All right, so overtime ended up being much of the same. I felt like I was parodying myself a lot, so we're gonna actually talk about the little movement stuff we were mentioning in the VOD, and we'll wrap it up after that. We're not gonna go over the overtime. For those of you who are curious, the player did win the game, but a lot of the same stuff in overtime. And so for movement, I mentioned that this player was crouch spamming a lot in game, which may or may not be super effective, right? So you can use this workshop, it's a mirror, to look at how your character moves. And I think movement is very underrated in that you can be taking advantage of your character's hitbox a lot more than you probably are. And so I'll just kind of show you, when you're scoped in, right, you move very slowly. You know, when you move left and right, your head is not moving at all. And when you're crouching, your hitbox is pretty stationary, right? Your head moves a little bit. But really, against a projectile character like Symmetra or Hanzo or Mei or anything like that, this is not going to be advantageous because a lot of them are not aiming perfectly on your head anyways. So you can just be ducking into their shots like this. So if you are going to be scoped in, there's not really a whole lot of ways to evade, right? Your hitbox isn't going to move very much no matter what you do. But if you're unscoped, right, now you can see just how much on his hitbox actually moves, right? So this is just simple AD strafing. I'm just pressing AD. Of course, in a game, you don't want to be like this rhythmic about it. You don't want to be this predictable. You want to be kind of all over the place with it. You know, AD, AA, AD, kind of a little less predictable than just this. But you can see that there's like this big initial sway that you want to be taking advantage of. And when you're crouched, since she's a sniper, right, her hitbox isn't going to move very much, especially her head. Look at how little her head moves when she's crouched. So a lot of characters, you want to be kind of mixing in crouches here to be evasive, but with Ana you don't. With Ana, crouching is just going to make you very easy to hit. So when you're strafing, you actually want to be crouching less. Maybe a couple crouches is fine, but yeah. This is the moment thing I'm talking about. You can try this with any hero. I'll put the code on the screen again so that you can use this. But you want to be familiar with how your character moves so that you can, more accurately dodge the enemy's shots. And with that covered, let's get on to the recap. First up is deliberate abilities. Maybe that's spelled correctly, maybe that's not. I'm not gonna look it up and find out, but you have the right idea of how to use your cooldowns. You have your sleeps when you need them. Maybe you're ult tracking, maybe you're not. that's not really the important thing. The idea is that when we use these super powerful cooldowns, things like anti-nade and sleep, we want to make sure that it can be followed up on, or, you know, if it can't be followed up on, then it's still used for a good reason. So example of a bad nade would be when you're on attack on Eichenwald, and you just kind of throw it into the depths of their team when no one's ready to go in on it. You could hit 5 people and it won't have any impact because no one's ready to do anything with it. And so that would be a waste of your nade. Even though you hit 5 people, you're like, I hit a huge nade. Why did nothing happen? Because no one was ready. And so you need to think about that. You need to be deliberate. When you use that nade, you need to think, are we ready to follow up on this, right? Same with your sleep. Although your sleep is a little more liberal because when you sleep somebody, it takes them out of the fight, effectively turning them, you can think of them as like temporarily dead, right? They're not doing anything while they're slept. Sleep can also help you get picks if you sleep someone who's like close to you, like how you saw with that Hanzo. But I think your knowledge of how you're supposed to be using these abilities is good. And I like your attempts. Your positioning is actually good. I don't really have too much to say about your positioning. There was a couple of times where you were too close to the enemy, but you didn't really pay for it that much. You did die that one time, right, when you walked near the edge with the Pharah, but that's an experience thing. Temporarily lapses in judgment do happen. We're not tracking every cooldown all the time. But you were worried about your positioning. I think your positioning is good. I think your mechanics are pretty good. I do want you to be a little more deliberate in your abilities. And the other thing is that we need to be a little more proactive with saving our teammates. So you can do more to bail out your team. There's some times where your team is just absolutely feeding. The Orisa walks through the sim wall, ults 4 people solo, and gets obliterated. But there's some times where you have 2 critical people in front of you and you don't throw nade on them and you don't save them. That actually happened 3 or 4 times throughout this gameplay where you could save a team, right? When you see that critical sign, you need to think, this guy needs my help and he needs it now. That doesn't mean go out of position to save him. That doesn't mean, you know, jump into the middle of the enemy team to hit that nade. But it does mean you need to actually make an attempt to heal them. So those are my 2 biggest things. I also think you can also apply this like deliberate idea to some of your shots when you're uncontested. So I'm not going to write out the uncontested part because you just heard me say it, right? But if you're uncontested, no one is shooting at you, and you're just kind of free firing on your team, you can be a little more deliberate in making sure that your shots are lined up, making sure that your nades are lined up, and making sure that your sleeps are lined up. It's going to help you in the long run. And yeah, these are the main things. I just pick 1 or 2 things to work on at a time. I also think that you're at a point where you can start ult tracking because your base gameplay is already pretty good. If you play like this every game, you will climb out of gold. You just need enough games to do so. So you can think about ult tracking as well. That's always going to bring value. And then doing these things and doing the stuff that you're already doing. Yeah, that's actually all I have for today. I really enjoyed doing this VOD review. I got it from my Discord. If you guys want to get your VODs reviewed, the best way is to go to my Discord and submit a request in the channel. The patch will hit in 2 days from when I'm recording this. So all those VOD codes will be reset. And we'll kind of have a new fresh batch of codes to be reviewing. So yeah, make sure you guys hop in my Discord if you want to get your VOD reviewed, or if you just want to talk about Overwatch and learn stuff in general, it's a good place to do it. I'm always active there if you want to reach out to me, just asking questions. But that's all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and more importantly, I hope you guys learned something today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.